Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning all, how are you today? In this section, we are going to learn about structuralism on our material, Semiotics. Before we'll start together, let's open a program by pray together. Pray together, begin. Thank you. As I said before, talking about semiotics. Semiotics or semology, the study of science and science using behavior, a domain of investigation that explores nature and function of science as well as the systems and processes underlying signification, expression, representation, and communication. And semiotic is sem, and it has meaning like semion from Greek. This is why we have to choose semiotics to learn in our life, in our material, because humans are homo significans and meaning maker, and we make meanings through our creation and interpretation of science. Science takes the form of words, images, sounds, flavors, acts, or objects. Anything can be a science as long as someone interprets it as signifying something, referring to or standing for something other than itself. Charles Sanders Peirce declares that nothing is a science unless it is interpreted as a science. Have you got it? Let's see about characteristic of science. They have two parts. Characteristic of science. The first one is arbitrariness. Science is arbitrary because there is no inherent, essential, transparent, self-evident, or natural connection between the signifier and the signified, between the sound or the shape of a word and the concept to which it refers. And the second, talking about differential, science has differentiations because science stands for its own role. Without interference from other science, the word like dog or dog resembles an animal called dog because it is different from animal cat or cat. This is Saussure's concept, and I have talked before in the last meeting. The arbitrariness of science as the first principle of semology, specifically the arbitrariness of the link between the signifier and the signified. And Saussure's semiotics concept is distinction between two inseparable components of a science: the signifier, the form which science takes, which in language is a set of speech sounds or marks. Then the signified, which is the concept it represents behind. Okay, next we are going to learn about Saussure's concept. A science must have both a signifier and a signified. We cannot have a totally meaningless signifier or a completely formed signified, right? And a science is a recognizable combination of a signifier with a particular signified because science is the result of association of the signifier and the signified. Have you got it, guys? Okay, next we're still discussing about Peirce's concept. As we know that known as classification of science, and Peirce is the relationship of science with logic. And we have to know that Peirce's concept divided into three parts: symbol, icon, and index. Just to remember about this concept. Symbolic is a mode in which the signifier doesn't resemble the signified, but which is fundamentally arbitrary or purely conventional. And iconic is a mode in which the signifier is perceived as resembling or imitating the signified, or recognizable looking, sounding, feeling, tasting, or smelling like it. being similar in possessing some of its qualities. An indexical is a mode in which the signifier is not arbitrary but is directly connected in some way, physically or causally. And how about semiotics in literary studies? Semiotics represents a range of studies in art, literature, anthropology, and the mass media rather than an independent academic discipline. Those involved in semiotics include linguists, philosophers, psychologists, sociologists, anthropologists, literary aesthetic and media theorists, and psychoanalysts and educationalists. Semiotics in literary studies. Semiotic literary criticism, also called literary semiotics, is the approach to literary criticism informed by the theory of science or semiotics. Then, literary semiotics can be seen as a branch of the general science of science that studies a particular group of texts within verbal texts in general. And next, I want to give some material about birth order of signification and divide it into denotation, connotation, and myth. And Barth develops this model based on Saussurean concept of studying science. And denotation and connotation are terms describing the relationship between the signifier and its signified. And an analytic distinction is made between two types of signified, a denotative signified and a connotative signified. Meaning includes both denotation and connotation. Just remember about connotation and denotation. Denotation tends to be described as the definitional, literal, obvious, or common sense meaning of a science. And the denotative meaning is what the dictionary attempts to provide. And denotation is meaning of a science in first level signification. Connotation is used to refer to the socioculture and personal associations, ideological, emotional, etc. of the science. Connotation can be referred as meaning of a science in second level signification, higher than denotation meaning. And connotation are not purely personal meanings. They are determined by the codes to which the interpreter has access. Myths were the dominant ideologies of our time. Barth argues that the orders of signification called denotation and connotation combine to produce ideology, which has been described as the third order of signification. And myths serve the ideological function of naturalization. Their function is to naturalize the culture. In other words, to make dominant culture and historical values, attitudes, and beliefs seem truly natural, normal, self-evident, timeless, obvious, common sense, and thus objective and true reflection of the way things are. And last, we are going to talk about our task in this today. Okay, look at the question. Give 3 concrete examples along with pictures or photos of typology of science. You can choose one of the fields in the fields of science, religion, social, economy, politics, culture, art, language, literature, or etc. And you must more be specific in the fields, right? Have you got it, guys? I think enough for our material for this today. Thanks very much for all of your participation and for all of your attention. And last, I will close the program by Alhamdulillah together. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. And last, I'll close by Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you next. Bye.